Hey YouTube, The Cat by Aria Pro 2. Many years ago, my pal used to stay in his flatmate who owned the flat they lived in Glasgow. Was called the Cat Cave because his guitar was the cat. So we used to go. It was actually quite a cool place to go. I'd go to the Cat Cave tonight. It sounded like you were going somewhere pure cool, not just somebody's basement flat. Yeah, so just got this in for a bit of a fix up. Yeah, so 1986, and I think this one's Korean. This is the RS body shape by Aria. My pal Wayne has the Yngwie Malmsteen signature one. Yes, there was a Yngwie Malmsteen signature Aria Pro, which basically was this exact shape, but it didn't have a scratch plate, and I think it's got, I was going to say 3 single coils. I think it's got 2 single coils and a dummy pickup in the middle and some sort of active boost in it. But this general, I believe it was called the RS series. This one has a kahler on it, like a proper American. Does it say what model it is? It's a kahler flyer on it, which isn't exactly the same as the kahler copy, which is on that Falcon, which we'll be doing a video for later in the week, and my Washburn A10. So I don't actually have a kahler. It's just slightly different, a very similar sort of idea though. This one has been upgraded with a Seymour Duncan, not sure which model, pickup. I didn't actually have to do anything to the electrics, they worked. It's got a push-pull coil split, 5-way switch, volume control. I believe the neck pickup is something as well, might be a Fender one, something like that. It did have a bit of a problem though. I was all thinking this was a fantastic guitar, it was amazing. Well, it is amazing, right? And then the owner said there was something not quite right with the clamp for the B and E strings. I was like, alright, so I put it on. Because it's an American thing, it takes a crazy type of Allen key. So if you got one of these, you need a 3/32 on this side of the Allen key. Basically, if you fix up guitars, buy one of these sets. It's got all the metric ones and all the imperial ones. So it's an imperial Allen key, and it's the 3. I don't even know, 3/32 inch. I don't even know how you say what it is, but it's that. So none of the metric ones will fit for either the clamp that's up here or the, what else did I adjust? The saddles down here. That was a different imperial size, but you need an imperial set to run on these. As you can see, it doesn't have a Floyd Rose type grip on it, so you've got a nut and then you've got a clamp that sits behind it. The problem with the clamp, which it has to have been straight from the factory. I got it, the action was really high, and you're kind of, everything else seems really amazing. Why is the action so high? It's been set to try and avoid this problem. What's happened is, see the way a Floyd Rose, in fact, I've got my almost exactly the same guitar. This one's a pointy headstock and it's got a Floyd Rose on it. See this one, you've got like the nut as part of the clamp. I probably shouldn't stand too close, I'm probably getting closer to the mic. Yeah, so what this does is the string goes over the top of this metal bar and then the clamp holds it down on the bar. That's not what happens with the kahler one. The kahler one, the string goes through a hole and it's clamped up to the underside of the top of the clamp, right? And the problem with this is what it was doing was it was pulling the E string up. You know, it's not pulling it down, it's pulling it up to the underside of this clamp, and which meant it lifted it out the nut. So whenever you hit the note, it just sounded absolutely horrendous, like a pure unbelievable buzzing, because the string was coming off the clamp up here. The intonation would have been out as well. So the string was coming off the clamp and then just going over the top of the nut and sort of vibrating against it. So, and I don't see how this has happened over time. This is basically when this guitar had when it came out the factory, this clamp wasn't recessed enough into the neck, and I was looking at it, I was trying to work my way around of how I was going to get around it, and then sitting there going, oh God, am I going to have to try and actually sandpaper or file or try and take off the wood in the neck, the weakest point of the neck? And then I had a great idea, and it's like so many times, I know this probably isn't a very luthery thing to do, but the angle grinder's the answer. So I took the clamp off and an angle round the bottom of the clamp. So the clamp now sits at an angle, a ground about 2mm off this side of it, so that it now sits lower. So it's, even though it's still pulling the string up, it's now firmly in the nut, and it no longer does the thing. Which is a good solution for it. This must have been an expensive guitar. I'm wondering. I mean, the thing is that this one here, the Mega Metal, which is a guitar I never really. I like this better than the Mega Metal. It might be partly to do with because it's white, and I'm not a big fan of black guitars. Now, this one's Japanese from 1986. This one's Korean from 1986. But I'd imagine there must have been some sort of crossover. I don't think they were necessarily. I think this might be a more expensive guitar than this one. Yeah, just because a kahler. I mean, the kahlers are damn expensive, and it's an American one. It's not a copy. I don't know how much a kahler's worth, but it must be an awful lot more than the Aria Pro Floyd Roses, and these aren't brilliant. So it must be. I think it's a more expensive guitar than this one. Yeah, and it's basically, you can see it's almost identical body. I mean, it wouldn't even surprise me if the body in this was Japanese, that was just sent over to Korea to get maybe the neck put on, because it's a different shaped headstock. This one's also got this one's got a straight headstock. This one's got an angled back headstock. Unbranded tuners. So I think this might be Samick built. But I was talking to my pal about this the other day about when Korean Squires came out, when they were still doing Japanese ones, and I don't think it was really, nowadays it's seen as a drop in quality. I don't think it was at the start. I think in about 1986 there really wasn't. This was just like a different model from the same sort of range. I kind of got the impression with the Mega Metal, because it's got such a crazy name, because it's not really a very metal guitar, it's more of a Strat, was they were kind of using up old RS bodies or something. You know, like maybe the Young Me Malmsteen one didn't sell that well, so the following year they kind of they had all these bodies, and they maybe gave some to Korea to make the Cat and such, and then maybe that one, maybe the neck on it's from another Aria Pro. I don't know. You know, so it's just a bolt-on sort of Stratty neck. You could probably just put a Strat neck straight on it. I don't think it's that different. 22 frets. Yep. So I'm not going to bother playing the Mega Metal, because it's not really a fair comparison, because this one's got Seymour Duncans in it and stuff, and a kahler, and that one's not really been set up. The strings are rusty, and for some reason I've never really. Maybe after playing this one for a bit, I'll maybe get a wee bit more into this one. It's always kind of. I think maybe the problem just stems with that. I think it's because it's called Mega Metal, which is an amazingly metal sounding name. It should be like a spiky thing, and it's not. It's very much a Strat with a humbucker. So it's not really. That's what it sounds like, a Strat. So we'll see what this one sounds like. It does work, but I've not actually played it to see what it actually sounds like. So this is a bridge pickup. It's got a push-pull coil split. The other difference is this one has a. Does it have a push-pull coil split? I think it did have. I think one of these is a phase, and the other one's just a kill switch. I can't remember. I think I rewired it because I thought there's no way that should be a kill switch, but it should be. So you got kill switches in 1986. On that particular model. I don't think it was maybe just more to turn the guitar off, because obviously people didn't know you could do the Tom Morello thing back then. I don't know who the first person to do that was. So bridge pickup, coil split. This is a Seymour Duncan something. Wee Laney, that cabinet, no pedals. Position 2, keeping that in a single coil. May have to raise the action up a little bit on the buzzy side. Or maybe I'm just not playing it right. Middle. Position 4. neck. So this, I think, was it might have been a Fender pickup, he said, was it? And then we've got the last one's humbucker. But if you're on humbucker, I'll go for some distortion. I think I should not record there. Neck pickup. Kahlers are a weird feeling to play. They're dead and light to touch. Good worker. Calipers up as well. What's weird about the kahler is when you bend the notes, you have to move. It's like geared, so but I'm moving that miles, so you can get much more subtle, which you can't do with a Floyd because it's, you know, if you dive bomb a Floyd, it has to be right into the body. But if you do that with a Floyd, it just, you know, the strings are totally slapping off the fretboard. Beyond. So the most annoying thing, apart the thing that was annoying actually between this guitar was, see the clamp thing. I didn't realise that was what was wrong with it until I put the new strings on. So see, trying to put, obviously taking strings off, you know how difficult it is to try and stick if you take strings off a Strat and you're trying to put a string that's already had the top of it bent to go around the tuning post through the block. Well, on a kahler it's dead easy, it just hooks on at that end, but you've got to try and put it through this clamp thing, and it's not like a Floyd Rose one where you take the clamps off. As I said, if you look at it, see there's a metal bar. Well, that those bead bolts pull something up into the bottom of it, so you've got to try and thread the string, which is not too bad when it's a new string, but if it's got like a kink in it because you had it bent around a tuning peg, it's a nightmare to do that. So it's over now. Neck wise, it just feels like a really good Strat. It kind of is a Strat, sort of. That's probably why Yngwie Malmsteen played it. What's your most Stratist guitar? Actually, it reminds me, I've got a Vantage through next door, which I keep meaning to sell and haven't actually done yet. I don't know why I bought it. I bought it just more out of curiosity than anything else. It's a similar sort of thing. I think it's around about the same era. Might even be the same factory. And it's the same sort of idea where I think Japanese parts were used when they were sort of transferring over from Japanese production to Korean production. And it's a similar sort of thing, whereas I've got actually a very similar, actually quite similar to the Mega Metal Vantage. So I've got like and the Korean one's white, so I've got one that's very similar to this, but it's a Vantage. It's a little bit pointier, and then I've got the black version of that, which is very similar to that. Yeah, kind of interesting. So I'm going to stop knocking the Korean Arias from this era anyway. I have played not so good ones, but I think they're more later on 90s, and also I've got a thing against Super Strats. I do like this though. Kind of looking at it, it's definitely got a sort of maybe a wee bit like a Mosrite or something. Like, is it? There's not a Burns. It's kind of not entirely dissimilar to this shape wise. Just a kind of bit more interesting. It's one of those shapes you just don't see anymore. I mean, I don't know when they stopped making this shape in general. I don't know how long the Cat lasted. I think the Mega Metal was only like a year sort of thing. I think this might have lasted a good bit longer. I think there's lots of different variants of it as well. This would obviously be the kahler fitted one. and it'll be a factory kahler. It's not a stick on later thing, because it had to be carved out unless it was done by a total professional. But there's no sign. If you had a Strat thing in there, there would be a hole, you know, for the Strat trem, and if it was a hardtail, there'd have been holes for that. So there's nothing on the back. So this is definitely standard. I don't know. It might have even originally had the same pickups as the Mega Metal, the MMK 45s. So that's me. Today it's a wee bit late for Telly Tuesday, but that's Telly Tuesday's Tuesday. I got the Bucky one done this morning. Then again, I might not even bother post this video till tomorrow, so I can still get Telly Tuesday out on Monday like I normally do. I'll do that when I come back. I'm just about to go and drop this off. I need to remember to put the strap buttons back on it before I give it to the guy. I couldn't afford attaching them onto this strap. But, so yes, Aria the Cats, pretty good guitars, and I'm not sure exactly how much they are. I don't think they're expensive though. I think you're in, you know, sort of at the cheaper end of what you can get a Squire for type money, and you're getting a guitar that's an awful lot better than any Squire. Maybe not. There's a couple of exceptions. I did have my pal had a JV Squire once, and it was something else. It was proper amazing. I think that there's, you know, some folks say they're the best guitars Fender ever made, the Squire JVs. But definitely all the other Squires I've played knocks pants off it. I'm going to have a wee look there just before I take it in this. I think maybe I've just got the action set slightly. Oh, I can actually see the A string. Yeah, the A string's lower than all the other ones, so that's why it's buzzing a little bit. I'll just raise that up and it'll be sorted. So, rock on, catch you later. It might not be. Today's Monday, but this might not be going up tonight. Depends whether I actually manage to get the video for the Bucky caster done. Rock on!